Citroen entered the Indian market with the C5 Aircross, but that was just dipping its toe into what is going to be a really big market for Citroen. And the next product which the company has announced is the C3. Now, this is a very important product because it goes into the heart of the Indian market. It's a sub 4 meter product. And telling us more about this is the global brand CEO, Vincent Cobee. Vincent, thank you so much for joining us. I think this is a really big step for Citroen because with the C5 Aircross, as I said, you were just sort of testing the waters, warming up. It was a bit of a warm up, a bit of a dress rehearsal, so to speak. But now the action really starts. So, on the C3 itself, you're getting into the heart of the market, a very competitive part of the market. How is it going to be different? Because quite frankly, you have come quite late as well, and it's very crowded, very competitive.
Yeah, thanks for the time and the opportunity. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, Citroen is a brand which has an amazing history, but also a lot of credentials and values we are very keen in bringing to the Indian market. We're talking about innovation, we're talking about comfort and well-being, and even beyond that, we're talking about something we like, which we call humanism, an approach which we believe is progressist, supportive, extremely engaged with our customers. The reception of C5 Aircross has been, to be very honest, much more positive than we had dreamed of, in terms of the value of the brands being very well understood by the Indian customers, and quite a very successful launch for a vehicle of that category and price. Now, as you rightly say, we are now moving into the main part of the market. We're bringing a sub 4 meter, let's say, B hatch with a twist called C3. And obviously, we do realize that we need to create both aspiration and credibility in this market. So aspiration will come through design, will come from this comfort and well-being capabilities of a brand, will come from innovation. We have a number of tricks in our bag, I would say, to create new forms of desires and satisfaction. But at the same time, it's a long journey, as we both know, in terms of credibility. So we took the right steps so far. It's been developed locally. It's being manufactured locally. Our level of localization, the nature and quality of the Indian suppliers who've been selected is right there. We are putting the last work to the project to make sure that we're launching with the right manufactured quality, but also service quality. We've been engaging some of the best supplier partners. We're looking at our after-sales network, our parts availability. I mean, the long list of must-have criteria to satisfy these very demanding Indian customers. So good moment, great moment for us, very excited about this. And as we all know, it's the most competitive, but also the best learning market there is in the world.
Right. You said you've got all these must-have criteria, but Vincent, I want to press on you on a certain bit of differentiation. You talked about innovation and certain tricks you have in the bag. But, sense one gets is, it's a bit of a measured approach into this market. It's not coming in with all guns blazing. Let's say, for example, some of the Korean brands have. Is this the way of being more sustainable, more profitable? Because it seems to be quite a step-by-step approach. Like you said, the C5 is good response, but very, very small numbers. So, just to get a sense with the C3, is it going to be big numbers, which you probably would need to give you the scale for localization?
Yeah, I think, first of all, C5 Aircross is a plant the flag exercise. It's to demonstrate the full capabilities of the brand, be it design, innovation, comfort, technology, you have it. And that, I think, we have achieved extremely well. C3, which you saw, is the first step on a multiple product journey. We do understand and recognize that there's a smart path to be found between the speed at which you introduce vehicles, the type of vehicles, and give the time to the network, to the manufacturing facilities, to the awareness, to the actual market proof of the capability of the vehicles for this to grow over time. So we're not coming with one car, we're coming with a family of 3 cars, C3 being the first one of them. We will launch them at a very interesting frequency and regularity to make sure that we continuously feed the brand growth, feed the network development. And the measure is in, you need to create the aspiration, you need to create the dream, you need to create the proof, and then you need to progressively grow. I think the Indian market is a very tough one to address. There's been a lot of, I think what the Brits would call a flash in the pan, in and out approach. We have structured our approach to be much more stable, credible, progressive, but regular. So you will see us coming regularly with new products, additions to the family, and make sure that we satisfy the Indian customers fully.
Vincent, I want to talk on costs and pricing because both these factors very important for the Indian market and even for your group, for your company. Getting that right is really what has made at that time PSA very, very successful. Is this the biggest challenge, finding that balance between cost and quality? Giving the customers what they need, leaving out what they don't. Would you say cost right now is fundamentally the biggest challenge going forward?
We both have, and especially a lot of experience about the Indian market. There is a number of must-have, and then there's this additional spice that make a product successful. So obviously, proven technologies, strong know-how, one key input. We've used the extent of the know-how of the Stellantis engineering capabilities for base platform, powertrain, transmission, and so on. Then local adaptation. We have a technical center in India that has developed the model, that has validated the suppliers, adapted the features. Then you have localization. More than 90% of the parts are coming from Indian suppliers, which we have sourced locally based on the extensive network of proven suppliers you can find in this country. Then you have industrialization. We've invested in industrialization, both powertrain and vehicle. We're in the process of tuning this. Obviously, we've tested this industrialization with C5 Aircross. And then you have the additional creativity to bring features, performances of a vehicle that addresses the particular Indian demand. So you haven't missed the fact that we targeted just below 4 meter to be in this extremely important sub 4 meter segment. We will provide a very specific posture. We'll provide very attractive roominess. And beyond that, we will make sure that we carry the flag of a brand. So we'll provide a lot of comfort and technology as well as innovation. So we think we have addressed the key touch points, and in a nutshell, this is a competitive made in India for India vehicle, which brings this positive humanist nature of the Citroen brand, both in its dynamic performance, but also in its design, colors, space, and innovation.
Right. Vincent, I know we don't have too much time, so I'll just touch upon two questions. One is I just want to talk on the localization, 90%, which you are getting with a certain scale. I think, it's not a massive factory you have. I think capacity is not really, I think it's a measured approach even to installing the capacity. Is that possible, or is there a big export plan as well? And another question is, we understand you're exporting powertrains. Do you think India, it can be an important base for, let's say, small displacement petrol engine, especially with electrification going on in Europe, because no one's going to be installing engine capacity anymore over there? Is that an opportunity for markets like India? So, two questions there.
I understand the two questions, Hormazd, and to be clear, very accurate. First, there's something quite important, especially when you're in a very cost and price sensitive market like India, is not to put the cart in front of the horses. Make sure that you always are at the right level of frugality so that the cost of your cars are enabling a very attractive value proposition to the customers. So we've done that, as you rightly said, with a step-by-step investment in terms of manufacturing capacity, with a very high level of localization, and with the added virtue of export. I think it's, and you know it already, there are a number of technologies where the Indian market is among the largest in the world in terms of manufacturing, talking supplier parts. High pressure die casting is one. You have also and this is something we not from India tend to forget sometimes, is you have some of the most high quality manufacturing supplier, with Deming Prices Awards. So if you put those two things together, naturally India is a very capable and attractive export base. We've demonstrated this within Stellantis with powertrain components and full powertrain assemblies, and we'll continue doing that with stamping, plastic injection parts, because they have, and obviously high pressure die casting, because they have global competitiveness, both quality and cost. And this is going to support our project in India by making sure that we have the right turnover and volume from the get-go to make sure that our products are competitive from day one.
Right. And even on engines, you think there's a good chance for export of engines from here? There's a good market for that?
Last time I checked, Europe was more or less 20% of the global sales volume of new cars. So yes, Europe is moving towards electrification at high speed. Still going to take more than 10 years. The US is probably going to mimic Europe, but combined US and Europe is 30 to 40% of the world. So there's still a lot of demand for competitive high technology engines, which is what we're going to assemble in India.
And is there still a demand for diesel? Because what I understand right now, you aren't making diesel, you're just making petrol. But could that change possibly with Stellantis and let's say what FCA has to offer, which is a diesel thing? And can we see a lot more synergies with FCA on platforms and products going forward?
I think both of us have a long history on diesel for India. You know that we are offering diesel in other segments. In the sub-4 meter segment, I think the future in India, like in many other places in the world, rotates around the high technology gas engines for emissions, but more generally for total cost of ownership. So that's where we are.
Yeah, but that's for the small side. I just want to press you a bit on that. I mean, you're going to have a full portfolio. I would imagine you're not only going to be sub-4 meter, but larger SUVs, typically, big market for diesel. In fact, there's still 60% in certain segments. So is it something you could be open to, especially now given the Stellantis, let's say, the FCA coming under the umbrella?
The best answer I can give you today is we'll be competitive in the segments we play. So we'll be at the same time pragmatist and forward-looking. So we'll adapt our technology to the customer needs.
And you haven't changed with those answers, Vincent.
No, we haven't changed.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Finally, just any outlook you could share on numbers. Is there any volumes? I mean, what are your expectations for the Indian market going forward? I mean, you've seen how the Indian market has performed. Of course, we've underperformed in many ways. Pandemic has kind of had an impact. So has this changed your outlook in terms of going forward, given the fact that, the whole world has changed? That's something we couldn't predict 18 months ago. So your outlook for Citroen in going forward, if you can share any numbers, and overall the Indian market itself, what are your expectations?
So I can share the global intention, which hasn't changed, by the way. And I'm not going to delve into specific Indian volumes because many of us have burned themselves in terms of Indian forecast. And the last thing you want is push product. You want to create desire. Globally, what's at stake for Citroen is quite simple. Citroen is more or less today a 850, 900,000 cars Europe brand. And Europe represents 85% of the total. So we want to do two things. We want to grow to 1 million cars in Europe, but we want Europe to be only 70% of our total. So fundamentally, our aim is 1.4, 1.5 million, of which 30% outside of Europe. And this family of 3 cars we're launching today in India is, the springboard for us to reach that objective. So quite a substantial objective. We're talking hundreds of thousands of cars globally in this family of 3 cars. India being a lead market. So yes, we have substantial ambition, but again, the success factor as far as I'm concerned in India is pragmatic, progressive, best cost, creating attraction and going with the flow. I mean, we do realize the last 18 months in India have been a bit of a roller coaster. We have trust over the long-term potential of the Indian market, but we're not going to be foolish in hoping miracles. We're just going to create our own success one car at a time.
Right. Well, thank you, Vincent. Thanks so much for talking to us. And with that, your pragmatic step-by-step approach, as we say, and wish you all the best. And we look forward to the C3 when it comes out next year. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thanks very much, Hormazd.